and Jewish law. We begin today the laws of neighbors, right? What do they say? Good fences make good neighbors. Yeah. So let's learn the laws of what makes you a good neighbor. Okay. Chapter 1 of the Hilchos Shchenim, the laws of neighbors. The purpose of these laws is to know the proper way to divide land among partner, how one should remove factors that may cause a danger to one's neighbor and to those people upon whom one's property borders, and the laws concerning the privilege granted to the person upon whose land one's property borders. Then in the bar mitzvahs, we'll see. So, halacha number 1, the following rules apply. When a person purchases half of a field from a colleague, two people together purchase, or two people purchase a field from a colleague. They both inherited, or another example, they both inherited a field. A field was given them as a gift, as the fourth example. Or the fifth example, they took Bemsa po. Yonatan. Shomim bekol olam. And then they took possession of ownerless land or property belonging to a convert who died without leaving Jewish heirs. All right. So any situation in which two people own land in partnership, right? So those are the examples, right? If one of the partners asks to divide the property and take his portion alone, and the property is large enough to be divided, we compel the other partners to divide the property with him. If the property is not large enough to be divided, neither partner can require the other one to divide the property. Similar laws apply with regard to movable property. Is that clear? The property has to be large enough that it could be divided. Okay, what that means, we'll see, right? But that's the idea over here. So you can compel a person because you're in partnership. Similar laws apply with regard to movable property, right? Also, okay, let's see. So when does the above apply? When neither of the parties recognizes a specific portion of the property they share as his own, but rather both use the entire property equally, right? So we're sharing the property equally. Then one person can come and say, I want to divide up the property, right? I want to have just what's mine, or buy me out, or let's sell it, whatever the case may be. Okay. If, however, one of the partners recognizes a portion of property as his own, each one has the right to compel the other partner to make a divider between his property and his colleague's portion, although the property is not large enough to be divided. So, so if you have a large property, you can compel to make a fence, right? To divide the property. In other words, I have my land here, you have your land here, right? Then I can compel you, let's make a fence to divide the property. But if we own the land together on both, then the only thing I can compel is that that you can sell the property. There's no fence to be made, obviously, right? Because you're owning it jointly. But you could compel a person to sell or to buy your portion. In a situation when the property is not large enough to be divided, or with regard to an entity that cannot be divided, like a maidservant or utensil, right? You can't divide it. So let's say two siblings got in an inheritance. They got a maidservant, or they got some kind of utensil. They got some farming tools, but you can't divide it. So if one of the parties tells the other, sell me your portion for this and this much, or buy my portion for the same price, the request is supported by law. We compel the other party to either sell his share to his colleague or to purchase the individual's shares from him. So now that you're owning it all jointly, you can compel. If, however, the other party does not desire to purchase the partner's share, does not have the means to do so, he cannot compel the colleague to purchase his share from him, even at a low market price. For his colleague, he may tell him, I don't want to buy, I want to sell. That's interesting. So let's say the partner doesn't want to, does not desire to purchase, right? That one partner wants to sell, but he doesn't want to purchase, or he doesn't have the means to. So he can't compel his colleague to purchase his share, even if it was a low market price. Because he can say, I don't want to buy, I just want to sell. Therefore, the following law apply if two brothers, one rich and one poor, inherited from their father a bathhouse or an olive press. If the father made these premises for the purpose of hire, the two share the rent equally, for as long as they desire to remain partners. Right? They share. Okay. If the made these premises for the purpose of hire, and the do share the rental equally for as long as they desire to remain partners. If the father made these structures for his personal use, the poor brother cannot force the rich brother to hire them out. Instead, that they should use them as the father used them. Right. In other words, the poor brother wants to rent it out because he needs the income. The rich brother doesn't. He can't force him to do it because the father didn't use it that way. If the father instructed, okay, to do it that way, fine. But if he didn't, and it was just for personal use, so he can't now come in and force that. The rich brother can tell the poor brother, purchase olives and crush them in the olive press, purchase servants and have them come and wash in the bathhouse. The poor brother cannot compel the rich brother to purchase his portion unless the poor brother tells him, purchase my portion from me or sell me your portion. You have to give him both options, the buying or the selling. Okay. So yeah, the poor brother cannot compel the rich brother purchase. The person tells him, purchase my portion, or sell me a portion, for I will borrow from others and purchase it or sell it to others, and they will purchase it. If he makes such a statement, the claim is supported by law because he's giving him the option, one of the two, right? That's what's important over here. And if each of the brothers says, I don't want to purchase your portion, I want to sell my portion, the property should be sold to others. Oh, you want to sell? Okay. So you're not going to sell to each other. You're going to sell to a third party, right? They don't want to buy either one of them. The following rules apply. If both of them say, I will not sell, but instead each of them wishes to purchase his colleague's portion, or neither of them desire to purchase from his colleague's portion, nor to sell his own portion, but instead both desire to remain partners in the property, what should they do? So if the place is fit. Hmm. So is a colleague's portion, nor to sell his own portion, but instead Both remain partners in the properties, and what should they do? If the place was fit to rent, they should hire it out and divide the rent. Okay, perfect. If the place was not fit for rent, they should alternate. If the property is a courtyard, they should dwell in it, each for a year at a time. The rationale of the ruling is that it is impossible for them to dwell in it together because of the lack of privacy, and is not large enough to divide. The more frequent rotation is not employed because a person would not trouble himself to move from the courtyard to to another every 30 days. Hence, rotation is carried out from year to year. If the shared property is a bathhouse, both of them are allowed to enter at all times during the day. The same principles applies to any object that is fit to be used at all times and is not usually hired out. A bathhouse, a mattress, a Torah scroll. One cannot tell the other, you use it on one day and I'll use it the next day. Or the other can claim, I want to use it every day. All right. I'm going to stop over here, folks.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Beautiful. Thank you. God bless you all. Have a great